Friends, welcome to Iron Sharpens Iron. Today we're going to be asking the question, what are you doing to keep your fire lit? Let's talk about it. All right, friends, welcome back to Iron Sharpens Iron. Today we're talking about motivation and what do you do to keep your fire lit? Solo, what do you think?
I feel like motivation is really misunderstood. People think it's like a lightning bolt, right? You just get hit with this motivation. It's kind of like prayer. People think that you pray for courage and you're going to get hit with the lightning bolt, wake up and be courageous, right? But that doesn't happen. Lightning bolt hits your house lights on fire. Your kids are screaming in the other room. You have to run through the smoke and fire, grab them and jump out the window, broken, bloodied, and battered, and realize, wow, that was really courageous. I feel like we are in this microwave society where people think that you're just going to be motivated or unmotivated. I'm going to get hit by motivation. I'm just going to want to do something, but it's really not like that. I feel like motivation is more like a battery. It has to be charged, and you have to charge it consistently and daily. In this episode, we're going to break down some of the myths, like how one of them big one that motivated people always feel like it, which is just not true, and replace it with some more practical realness, which really motivation is a system. Motivation starts with a purpose, and it has a rhythm. So I know you talked a little bit about, before we started recording, the different types of motivation. What did you mean by that? What are the types of motivation?
Yeah, so as I've studied this and, to your point, like motivation in my experience and through things I've studied and learned about it, it's not a you have it or you don't.
Yeah.
There are different factors in your life that either spark the interest and spark that drive, right? They charge the battery, to your great analogy, or they don't. And certain things, they charge you more than others. Right? When we talk about motivation, there's really two different types. There's the intrinsic, what is your inner drive?
Yep.
And then there's the extrinsic motivators, which are external influences on you, and they affect you differently. So to use some examples, extrinsic motivators in life can be the paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
People go to work because they're going to get paid.
So I show up.
Yeah. I mean, I love a good cause.
And I love a good job, but we wouldn't show up if they were paying $0.
Yeah, absolutely. As much as I love what I do on a daily basis, if I stop paying, I got to find a way to pay the bills, right? And so that extrinsic motivation comes from the desire to pay your bills and take care of your obligations. Other extrinsic type motivators can be, the bonuses or the awards. You athletes, they want to win the championship. And so that there's kind of an intrinsic and extrinsic there. But holding that MVP trophy, I'm sure Michael Jordan absolutely loved it, and Steph Curry and all the others who have won it. Tiger Woods, winning all the golf tournaments, the feeling of accomplishment and the payout, they're both motivating influences.
Yep.
But to use the example of my favorite professional athlete right now, Stephen Curry, and the thing that I love about him is beyond the accolades and the max contract that he's earning, there's an inner drive that is more intrinsic to Stephen Curry. And the thing that I thought was absolutely amazing. So he won the MVP award several years ago, unanimous. First time in history had been a unanimous decision.
Really? First time?
First time. And after the season was over, so they won the championship. He had the finals MVP as well. After the season was over, he immediately went back to work and said, you know what, I'm making all these 3-pointers and stuff, but I need to up my game. Yeah. And so he worked with a personal trainer on reaction drills so that he could be 2 or 3 moves ahead of the defender. He could understand what is the defender most likely to do as he's, doing his mad skills with ball handling, because the guy's got handles like none other.
He really does.
What can I do so that I'm constantly ahead of everybody else? This is after being named the most valuable player in the league and the best shooter in history. He goes and figures out how he can get better. Why? Because he has this inner drive to do something that he's passionate about and to be the best. And so those intrinsic motivators, right? Whether it's your altruistic desires to end world hunger or bring about world peace, the self-actualization of wanting to have, just a rockin' beach body,
Yep.
to, just lose weight or mastering your talent or craft, right? To be the best pianist or whatever it may be. Those intrinsic motivators are far more powerful than the extrinsic. And so you got to identify what is it that you care about that drives you, and that will help keep that battery charged, but also recognize there are extrinsic things that are going to come into play.
Yeah.
For my kids, as an example, sometimes the motivating influence is very much extrinsic from the parents of, if you go do X, Y, or Z, it's going to lead to a bad consequence. You're going to be grounded, privileges, or whatever it is. Some people, the only reason they're not committing crime is because they're afraid of going to jail. That's the extrinsic.
We don't speed because we don't want a ticket. So extrinsic motivation is not a bad thing. It just, to your point, I don't think it lights the fire for the long run. It doesn't stand the test of time. Because, for example, my extrinsic motivation not to speed is getting a ticket. Internally, my wife is sitting in the passenger seat. She's pregnant, about to deliver. I'm blowing past the stop sign. I'm speeding my booty off because my intrinsic motivation to make sure she is taken care of, to make sure that my son or daughter that's on the way is going to get to that hospital, is just far more powerful than any external motivator can be. And I think that you hit the nail on the head, at least for me, when it comes to, you have to get clear about what that is. We have these external motivators like, I want a big paycheck, I want this, I don't want that. To your point, we want to seek out pleasure and avoid pain extrinsically, but have we ever really sat down and got clear of what internally lights your fire? This is one of them. Like, this for me is one of the things that internally lights my fire. I just love feeling like I can do something that maybe, just maybe, someone out there is going to hear it and just be a little bit better off. Maybe, just maybe, by the grace of God, the world will be a better place because we came this way in episode 4, where we talk about, motivation. So it motivates me. We're not getting anything. We're not avoiding any type of pain, but it's just something that really motivates me. So I don't think people need more external motivation. They don't need more inspiration. What we need is a solid why that makes you move even on the rough days, because there's going to be rough days. So I ask our audience, like, why do you want what you want? Why do you do what you do? What's at stake if you don't do it? What would happen if today you decided to be the best you that you could possibly be, and in the next year, 2 years, everything worked out for you? What would that picture of your life look like? Who would you be around? What would you have? Who would you surround yourself with? Where would you be 2 years from now, where everything went right and you decided every single day I'm going to be my absolute best self? Think of that. Picture that. And that picture becomes your why, becomes that fire that's lit in your heart to be your best every day, even when, especially when it's hard. And if you're like me, hard-headed, what's the opposite? What if today I just decided to be a you-know-what, POS, and stop being my best and be lazy and let all of my demons jump on my back and convince me to be the worst that I could be? What's at stake if I choose that route? What would
I'd
I
be looking for a
lose?
new co-host.
Yeah, like, where would you be in 2 years if you decided to be your worst self? If you let all of your habits or, your negative proclivities that you fight against on a daily basis, because we all have them, if you let those win, and maybe let that dark place be your intrinsic motivator. I'm never going to go there again. I know a lot of folks that are successful, not because they want to be successful, like your Steph Currys, right? But they just want, success is the ultimate revenge. This person left me. I'm going to be the most successful, best person that anyone's ever seen. This company fired me. They let me go. I'm going to build a business that's so successful that they're going to rue the day that they ever let me go. And those are all intrinsic motivators. It could be a negative, avoiding pain, or a positive, searching for pleasure. But ask yourself why. What are some of your whys, Jake, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, some of my whys. It's good you put me on the spot here. So I mean, I I have the luxury of having spent a lot of time thinking about this. as opposed to a why, I'll give it a different flavor here, and we'll very likely do an entire episode about the passion test another day. But
Ooh,
at a high
passion.
level, I'm going to get all fired up here for a minute, but
Quit.
you're going to see a different side of Jacob Anderson because I'm usually more stoic. But the passion test is something that I'm very passionate about, pun fully intended there. But the process starts with, you know, identifying your whys, or really answering the question, when my life is ideal, I am, and then you write it out. Like, what are the 10
That's
to
good.
15
I like
things?
that.
What are the 10 to 15 things that if you pictured your ideal state, when are you the most happy? When are you the most at peace? When are you the most just amped up and excited to go do whatever X, Y, or Z? You know, maybe it's you're on a cruise, and that is when you're super excited, or you're on the golf course, or you're helping the homeless, or working, you know, doing charity work, cleaning up after hurricanes, doing, like, there's so many different things. You're at the movies, whatever it is. Picture what truly brings you fulfillment and joy.
Wow.
What are those activities? Like my daughter right now, she's all about cosmetology. She wants to get her cosmetology license when she's in high school, and that's really cool. So it's a great
Pretty
goal.
cool.
So she's all about Sephora. Going to Sephora and trying their product and ideally bringing some home makes her really excited.
That's her happy place.
It makes my bank account less excited, but it's her, you know, it's her happy place. For me, going through this, and so what you do, friends, is answer that question. I'm going to repeat it. When my life is ideal, I am ... And then make a list of the 10 to 15 things. This is the first step. We'll go through all the other steps in the passion test process at a different time. But start thinking through that and identify those. And, get them down, come back to it the next day or 2 days later, look at it again and see if you feel the same way. When I've done this halfway twice. And then this year, just a couple of months ago, I went through the full process. And I spent a couple hours really pondering on this. I came back to it the next day, and then ultimately I was in California at the time, and I went down to the beach and just sat there like 5 a.m. when no one's at the beach, and just that's a
cool.
happy place for me. I love just the sound of the ocean. It calms and relaxes me. And so I sat and thought about it, and it's something I haven't really gone deep within myself before. But I identified, and to answer your question that you asked me, like, I swear, like 20 minutes ago now. But
All good. This is good stuff.
to answer the question, the top 5 things for me settled out at is I love spending quality time with my family. That's number one. That is my number one motivator, is my family. And it's why I knocked doors during COVID, as we laughed about at a previous segment. Like, I went through the pain because there's a lot of negative extrinsic saying, don't do this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
At the time, I needed work and I needed to pay bills. And so I was willing to do it because my family comes first for me. Number 2 is exercise. I want to maintain health because maintaining health and personal fitness allows me to do all the other things that come on the list. Number 3 is like, when I picture my ideal state, I want financial freedom. Now, financial freedom can mean different things to different people. But, for my definition of it, that's ideal state. That is one I'm still working towards. And then after that are my more altruistic things, which is I want to have a positive impact on the lives of millions of people, and to really truly leave a lasting legacy. And, how God brings that about is still somewhat TBD. But this podcast came after I was clear.
Really?
And you brought up clarity, and it's such a good thing. So there's a phrase in the Passion Test book where they say, when you are clear, God or the universe or whatever it is for you, but God will put into your life what you need, but only to the extent that you are clear. So the point being, when you have clarity at what drives you and what you're passionate about, God will place those things into your life, more of them, because we're in a world of abundance, and that's a whole other segment too of the law of attraction. But this life is so full of abundance, and when we take stock of that, God will put that in your life. But He only can really do so to the extent that you are clear, so that you know what you're desiring and wanting to bring about.
Dude, that's good. I didn't know it was a whole book.
It's awesome. I love it.
Hey, we're gonna have to check that out. You're gonna have to send that to me. I was doing a little just a little writing while you were talking. When my life is ideal, I am. And like the things that just instantly came in, like I'm disciplined, like I'm on it, like I'm kind to people. I'm unwavering, i.e., I don't get shook, right? Like external circumstances or people, because you can't control people or circumstances, but you can control yourself. But if you're like me, you can control yourself sometimes. But when my life is ideal, I'm on it. I could keep that stoic disposition even when people are going crazy or situations are going crazy. I am being the best husband I can be. I'm sacrificing for my children and being the best daddy I could be. And it's like all of these things to me, it's like character stuff, right? It's like, am I being the best me that I can be? And I think that when I'm being the best me that I can be, I'm really being disciplined because I think a lot of us know which direction that we should go, what we should do. It's just, do we have the gumption? Do we have the discipline? Do we have the strength to do it? Like, you obviously know exercise and getting enough sleep and eating healthy and treating people kind and being patient on the freeway and rush hour traffic. These are all good things and conducive things. But when you're presented with baked chicken and vegetables or a fantastic barbecue, which one do you choose, right? When you're sitting in traffic and you're having to be somewhere and you're late and people are honking at you for no reason, it's not like, you shouldn't not say anything. You shouldn't honk back. You shouldn't whatever. It's just, are you disciplined enough to do it? And I feel like a lot of the times that discipline is just like motivation, and it's a muscle. Like you have to flex it. Like you have to recognize when you're feeling unmotivated or motivated. Understand this too shall pass, in that the feeling, it just is what it is. Sometimes you're going to feel like it. Sometimes you're not going to feel like it. But are you going to consciously choose and be intentional to do the thing that you know you need to do anyway? Because I feel like a lot of the times, my motivation at least, isn't, my action isn't preceded by my motivation. My motivation follows my action. I don't get motivated to write, then write. I start writing and then I feel motivated. So I feel like that discipline is really like my backup generator to motivation, because some days I'll wake up and be like, woo, let's go work out. I feel good. But most days I'm like, you know what? I could do it after work. I can sleep in a little bit, and I have to actually get up and start doing it, and then I'll feel motivated about it. So have you found that your discipline muscle has to be really stronger than your motivation muscle a lot of the time, or am I just a psychopath?
No, you're definitely not a psychopath. Action is so important. Canfield has his great book about the success principles, and one of them is about taking action. And Jocko Willink has a whole thing about discipline equals freedom too. And from a Navy SEAL commander, I think we should all take his advice.
Jocko's awesome.
Jocko's great, but he talks about that discipline, and there are times, and it's so interesting the way our mind works, because the motivation, right? Going back to, spending time on what you're passionate about, right? When you have a choice to make, choose in favor of your passions.
Mm-hmm.
I will add an asterisk, as long as your passions are not negatively affecting other people around you, right? If you're passionate about committing Grand Theft Auto, just stop stealing cars, man. But we are good, and they're building up those around you, and you're building yourself and all those things. Yes, when you're in doubt, choose in favor of your passion. But it's a muscle that has to be worked.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is, at least speaking for me personally, the end of the workday, I am not super motivated to go do a whole bunch of other things.
Do anything.
And yeah, like I'm tired. Like as a natural introvert, it takes me a whole lot of energy to just focus throughout the day and to do things like that are outside my comfort zone. And so my energy levels are just down, right? Like for extroverts, sometimes they get more amped up, but that's not me.
Me
And, Saturday mornings is the hardest day for me to get up and exercise because I want to sleep in.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're absolutely right. Sometimes you just have to have the willpower to go do it. And then once you're at the gym, for me, I'm going at it, and I'm going to work hard. And once I start, studying for our next episode, or once I start researching something for work, or once I start on like, was it Brian Tracy that does the Eat More Frogs? Doing the thing that you don't want to do, but you need to. And once you get going, much easier.
It's easier.
The journey of 1,000 miles starts with what?
One
That
step.
first step. You don't want to go the 1,000 miles. Like the people running the ultra marathons, like it's 100 miles, dude. Who wants to
crazy.
run so long that the bones in your feet are breaking? It's the intrinsic desire to win and to go do something ridiculously hard. But the training for it, I don't know a lot of marathon runners that enjoy the training.
I don't think anyone likes working out. I think some people just like the feeling of having had worked out. Like I just worked out hard and I'm getting in better shape and I've yada yada. But if you like the pain and the anguish and the burn, I don't know. Maybe you're not like me, but that's just not something that's enjoyable, you
A
know?
little bit of a masochist.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, it's good.
You said something wise. You said the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. And I think that one step analogy, that starting small, is a really, really good place to start if you're not motivated. Because when you feel good, when you feel on fire, when you look in the mirror and you're proud of that person looking back at you and you feel like you can accomplish anything, like all these things are easy, right? Easier. But it's like, what do you do when you're the middle school Jake Anderson, when your best friend just turned on you and you don't feel motivated to do anything? You don't even want to go to school or get out of bed or anything. And I feel like, to your point, one step in the right direction is all that you need. Because after one step and starting small, you could take another step and then another step and then another step. And before you know it, you have this momentum. Because moving that big boulder of any dream, anything that you want to accomplish, even getting out of bed sometimes, is tough. But like for those that are depressed or dealing with anxiety or, maybe even crippling depression where you don't even want to get out of bed, maybe you just start with getting out of bed. And then maybe the next day you get out of the bed and you take a shower. And then the next day you get out of bed, you take a shower and you make your bed. And then the next day you get out of bed, take a shower, make your bed and go outside for 5 minutes and just start really, really small. I feel like a lot of people fail in their big dreams because they look at the skyscraper and it's impossible. Will Smith said that when he was younger, his dad made him build this wall. And he didn't want to do it because it's a long wall and yada, 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 yada. But he gave this example of, you look at a skyscraper and it's just too big. You're tasked with building it and it just seems impossible. But you shouldn't look at the skyscraper. You should look at one brick and say, I am going to lay this brick as good as anyone has ever laid a brick. It's going to be the best brick that has ever been laid. And you lay it and you do it again. And you do it again. And you do it again. And after days, weeks, months, years, you look up and you had built a skyscraper. And I think that that's how the skyscrapers of our lives, success, are built. One brick perfectly laid, intentionally laid at a time.
Sorry, friends, we had a ghost open my door.
You got a poltergeist opening your door back there or what?
So yeah, my dog opens doors. It's really fun.
Okay. Hey, I mean, that's talented. He's like, you guys are talking about some good stuff out there. Let me come in here and cuddle.
She's motivated to come join the conversation.
I wish that we had the emotions of a dog sometimes, man. Like I remember, because my dog passed and it was rough because dogs are fantastic. Pets are fantastic in general, but sometimes I wish I had like the heart and love and mind of an animal where you could just, like, I have never loved anything as much as my dog loves most things. As excited as my dog is about every single thing, or was. You could yell at a dog and say, don't do this, and yada, yada, yada. And then 5 minutes later,
right?
Like, how do we get that dog-like motivation, for life? How do we do that?
Yeah, you come home from work and they're just going bananas at the door. So excited to see you. I know, I love it. They're amazing. But going back to what you're saying about building like brick by brick is so good. Like find, and again, you go back to what we've already been talking about, right? You find your why, you find the things you're passionate about. All your goals come from like that list of passions. We sometimes get backwards and we make goals of the things we know we should do
Yeah.
and the things that should be important. But we're not passionate about it. So when you start with your passions, it allows you to get out of bed. And I still love that video of the Admiral talking about make your bed, right? Because
Yeah.
then you accomplish. You get out of bed. Accomplishment A. There are times in my life where I have been fetal position on the bed, sobbing with just anxiety and things that I've had to work through. And those days, yeah, you get out of bed, made it. I got my pants on one leg at a time, done. You make the bed and suddenly like it just becomes this routine and you can take another step forward.
Mm-hmm.
I wanna share something from Tony Robbins. This is like 2 minutes where he talks about like why is it sometimes so hard for us to really act in favor of our passions and to go achieve. And so this is a great motivational thing talking about what we've been talking about. Excuse me.
Oh, you got a video?
I got a video of
All
it.
right, let's do it. Tony, it's the man right there.
So this is about as full screen as it gets on here, I guess. But
the number one thing
oh,
that's
and
going
he's
to
really
change
quiet.
your life, the only thing that will change your life, change your business, change your money, change your relationship, is you must raise your standard.
Mm.
I know that sounds boring, stupid, basic, but it's the truth. The only thing that changes our life long term is when we raise our standards. What does that mean? That sounds so boring and dumb. It means that all of us in life have things we want. We don't get what we want. We get what we have to have.
Mm.
Remember I said earlier, we all get what we tolerate in ourselves and other people. But when you're no longer willing to tolerate something, that's when your life changes. The difference in people is their standards, period. The difference in people is their standards, period. And what do I mean by standards? Everyone in the world has a list of things they think they should do. I should lose weight. I should work out. I should spend more time with my kids. I should work harder. I should make more calls. I should. And then you know what? People don't do their shoulds and they get mad at themselves and they what I call should all over themselves. They beat themselves up about it.
Shouldn't all over yourself.
What changes people is when your should becomes a must.
Mm.
When suddenly the thing you said should happen has to happen. That's when human beings change. It's like if you want to take the island and you're the head of the army and you want to take the island, the most powerful way to take the island is burn the boats.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because if there's no way to go back, it's amazing what happens when it's a must to do something versus a should. That's what makes human beings succeed.
That's so good. That's so good. My
Dude,
man
isn't that
Tony.
powerful?
I'm just calling it into existence right now, Jake. Tony's coming on the podcast.
Dude, Tony's going.
He's already on. We're already booking him.
I tell you what, the thing, and this has been a should for me, and I'm making it a must because I'm so passionate about this, is I have to go to his Unleash the Fire Within and do the fire walk.
Walking on coals.
I am doing the coal walk, and we'll get a video, and I'll put it on here. I just don't know where he's going to be this year, but these guys are going to retire soon, and it's going to be a missed opportunity if I don't do it. Canfield's doing his very last breakthrough to success this year, and then he's retiring.
Really?
Tony's going to be, he doesn't have that many years left to be doing this. I mean, he'll pass it on to someone else. But yeah, I got to go see Tony. But I love that, right? There's so many things we don't do it because here it's not a must.
Yeah.
It's a should, and we should all over ourselves. And I love that, right? But look at the things that you're passionate about. What are your goals and dreams and what is driving you? Recognize what are the things that truly drive you in here and up here. Get this right. It'll align with your heart and then turn those into musts.
Yeah.
Like you can put up with some hard things for quite a while when you have to.
When you must.
You can go through the dead end just job that's not paying you what you should, or it's not paying you what you deserve. They're not treating you right. You can put up with it, and you know you should get out of there and do something better, but you don't. Why? Because it's a should. And as we talked about earlier, right, the complacency and the fear of going through something hard, and change can be really, really hard. But when that becomes a must in your mind, and I have to get out of here, I have to get out of this bad relationship, or
Yeah.
I have to move out of this really bad neighborhood because I don't want to raise my kids in this sort of situation, or I have to make my financial targets a reality so that I can live the life of my dreams. That flips the script.
It's
And
powerful.
everything changes.
That's powerful. Did you do you know that story that he was talking about when it comes to burn the boats?
I'm not remember. I know it, but I'm not remembering it right now.
So there was a Spanish conquistador that sailed from Spain to, I think it was to Mexico. They were going to invade. They were going to do something, and they got to the shores. They set up camp, and they were like outnumbered 10-1. It was like 10,000 of them. There's like 100,000 soldiers about to push them back. And the first order that the commander gave is what Tony just said: burn the boats.
boats.
People were freaking out, right? What do you mean burn the boats? It's like, don't ask questions. I'm the commander. Burn the boats. So they burned all the boats. He had this big rally, and he said, man, it is victory or death. Escape isn't an option. We have no plan B. And they won. Those 10,000 pushed back 100,000, and they captured wherever they were captured. And I don't know the geography or the history.
Yeah, somewhere.
I could be totally off. So you history buffs, like, actually, it was Scandinavia. It's not the point. Paying attention to the wrong part of the story. The part of the story that's important is you have to burn the boats. And I think that's why I would say, mental exercise of what is at stake if I don't do this can be a way of you burning the boats. Like, what is at stake if you don't go to the gym every Saturday? And that bleeds into every Friday. And that bleeds into every day. What happens when your discipline just completely atrophies, as does your muscle, as does everything in your life? Where are you going to be 5 years from now? What happens if you don't cultivate the relationship with that person that you know you should? What happens if you don't jump onto that firewalking Tony Robbins, seminar in 5 years? He's going to be gone. What happens if you don't do it? And then thinking that, like, I can't go there, I won't go there, I must do this to avoid it, can be powerful. I don't really have too many. I've never even thought about, like, turning shoulds into musts, but that's like opening up a whole nother gear in my mind, and I'd love to just like dive into a little deeper. I'm gonna write that down. You give me all kinds of good stuff, bro.
You didn't even realize you had the NOS button in your car.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
you're about to push the button. Yeah. You're gonna hit the nitrous and just accelerate. It's so powerful. Because there's all these
because I think
limiting
about it, like,
things.
I've never not done a must. Like, you have anxiety about these things. Like, for example, I have anxiety. I'm going on a trip. We're going to be at a conference. I'm going to be on stage speaking at this conference, and I'm really anxious about it. But there has never been a time where I had to perform and then I didn't perform, because it's not, I want to do a good job. I want to get to the airport on time. I must get to that airport on time. There's no excuses. I have to get there. So I'm going to set multiple alarms. I'm going to go to bed early. I'm going to make sure that I'm packed up and everything's good to go. I'm going to make sure I have a plan B in case my tire pops or something like that, because I must get there. There's no excuses for it. So I think about, how could we turn these things that we want to do, these things that we should do, into things that we must do? And how can we raise our level of, what did he say? Not expectation, but
Our standard.
our standards.
Elevate your
How can we
standards.
raise our standards for our life? What would that look like? Dang, bro. You're making me think, dude.
And the other part that he said is you elevate your standards, but you get what you tolerate.
Yeah.
Right. And this is a great one for in leadership in general, is it's not about what you expect but from a personal standpoint, it's not about what you want for yourself. It's what are you tolerating? And then
Yep.
in leadership vein, it's not what you expect of your people, it's what you tolerate in their behavior or in their performance or whatever's going on, right? And it's so true for us. If I tolerate myself to just play video games, because I love games.
Me too.
I've played them since I was a kid and I am addicted to them. I like it's just something that I'm gonna have in my life because
Me
I
too.
really do enjoy them.
It's something that makes you happy.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes me really ticked off half the time too. And so
That's because you've been playing Call of Duty, bro. Don't put that Call of Duty on after a hard day at work. You don't want to unwind with that anxiety.
right, it's the shooters for me are when I'm really frustrated. That's when I pick up the shooter games and I go like shoot zombies or something.
Ah,
But then and that's just a better mechanism. But because I haven't hung like I should hang a heavy bag in my garage and that's a way better outlet, but I haven't gotten to where I have to or I must. And so that's why there's not a heavy bag in my garage. But
mhm.
but from a gaming standpoint, do I tolerate hours upon hours of it where I'm neglecting my family? I absolutely do not tolerate that. And so I don't do it, right? There's boundaries. And so mentally it used to be hard for me. I used to have to actually like consciously look at the clock, but it's gotten to the point because of repetition and that muscle memory and things that you were talking about earlier, right? Exercise the muscle and then it becomes much easier. Where most of the time, and there are exceptions to this if I have like a new game that I'm really excited about, but most of the time, after about an hour, maybe two tops on a weekend or something, I just turn it off because I'm just at the point where like I need to go do something better with my time.
Yeah.
Like there's too many other things that I have to do in my life that I have to achieve to leave that legacy that is one of my passions and goals. And so I go do other things. Or the video games come last and I do all the other this is the best way to do it is I do all the other things that are way more productive and better with my time. And then the games come at the end. And whatever
Mhm.
time I have, I can devote to something that's really not building me as a person, really, but is very fun and just a good diversion.
And I think that, so I'm like you with the games. I'm not a drug addict. I don't drink really, but I'll sit there and just have digital heroin for hours if you let me.
Digital heroin.
Yeah, and because it'll get you, it'll enrapture you, and you're not
Oh
to
yeah,
your
and
point
absolutely.
working on yourself. You could argue, oh, I'm working on my hand-eye coordination. It's like, no, you're not, bro. Like you're playing Mario Kart. So I was the other night, like, okay, so this game came out, and I've been super stoked about this specific game, which was actually an update to a game I already loved, and it hit, and my wife comes in. I don't know what it is about our significant others, but they could smell you about to turn on a video game for them. So I hit the about to start it up. And she
They hear
comes
the
in.
beat solo. They can
Yeah,
hear the beat
exactly.
from across
The
the
beep,
neighborhood.
yeah, the PlayStation beep. I'm telling you, like I'm thinking about putting a PlayStation in every hospital room. So if a wife is ever like passing away, you just hit that beep, just wake up. Like, what's going on? Hey, what is it?
The new
But
defibrillator, yeah.
I say that to say my wife comes in and she's not the type that says, hey, where are you playing me? She's super supportive. Everything I do, she's fantastic. That said, she was feeling bad about herself. She was feeling crummy. She lost her father a while ago and she was just it comes in waves, right? Like it's
Yeah,
not
I'm
this thing. So
sorry.
she was just having a rough day, a rough night. And she was saying, oh, yeah, and I know you're playing your game, so I don't want to like drop anything on you, but I'm just feeling crummy. And I don't remember exactly what she was talking about. But I do remember sitting there after she left and I had this choice. I was like, am I going to sit here and play this game that I'm excited about, that I want to do, that I have been waiting for? I could justify it. Or am I going to be the type of man and husband that I expect myself to be? Like, what's my standard? Like, who am I? And that standard of who I am got me up, turned off the game, went in there just to hang out. We didn't like have this long, great conversation and I didn't hit her with anything that made her feel any better. I was just there. I was just present. And we watched some stupid show and it was great. And I felt so good about myself because I feel like when our actions match our highest standards, our perception of ourselves skyrocket, our self-worth skyrockets, and our inevitable success or failure is directly correlated to our perception of ourselves. So we can choose to do things that are hard, that are less pleasurable, but set that standard and actually execute on that standard. Or we can just go with the flow and look up one day and realize that you're living far below your standards. And that's when I think anxiety or depression kick in for me. And now that you say that, I owe someone an apology that I'm going to give them because of the standard that I set for myself. So I appreciate you talking about this, man. You're making me better. You're adding a lot of stuff to me today, Jake, and I appreciate that.
You're already phenomenal, so
Love you too,
you don't
bro.
need to get any better solo. You're a good man and a great example. And it's interesting. So you think about it in the context of what we've been talking about. You chose in favor of your passions because as much as you love whatever game it was, going and hang out with your wife in her time of need and watching The Real Housewives of whatever. Which, come on, don't say it's a stupid show. You know it's your favorite.
It's a fantastic show.
I mean, whichever city they're in nowadays, right? You chose in favor of your passions. And that, right, gives you the sense of fulfillment and accomplishment because you're living out what you feel is your purpose and what you want to do. And so, absolutely, right? And so in that moment, like we talked last week, your self-esteem and feeling of self-worth on a scale of 1 to 10, whatever it was during the gaming, it elevated, as you said.
It elevated, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great example. So, friends, I hope this has been meaningful to you. We've had wonderful feedback. I tell you, I've gotten some of the most heartfelt and heartwarming comments from some of our viewers and listeners. And spread the message. If you haven't yet, give us a follow. Share this with anybody and everybody in your network. Please help get the message out because at the end of the day, all we are trying to do is get a voice of positivity and to help people become the best versions of themselves.
Yep. I want to talk real quick about a good piece of advice that someone gave me. And that person told me that a lot of the times, most people don't need to add things into their life. They need to subtract things. If all we did was just stop doing the things that actually sucked us dry or pulled us back or hurt us, we would be infinitely times better off than most folks. Yeah. So as opposed to New Year's resolutions, we should probably say New Year's, I'm not going to douchins. Yeah. I don't know.
New Year's prioritization.
Exactly. Reprioritization. Yeah. So I want to talk about a couple of things that could really suck and kill your motivation. Like some of the things that you need to stop and leave behind. The first one is comparison. You cannot compare where you are in your life to someone else's life, especially on social media. And this really goes for our young ones. You cannot compare where you are on your journey that God gave you to someone else's photoshopped to perfection front of a social media profile. You can't do it. Yeah. It'll just completely destroy your motivation. You'll feel like you're not far along. You're not. You're too much of this. You're too little of that. You're comparing yourself to this person. I'm not as beautiful as she is. I'm not as strong as he is. I'm not as rich as they are. Just don't do it. Don't compare yourself with others. Compare you to you.
Don't compare your real life with somebody's fake life.
Fake life. It looks great in the background. This is intentional. You should see the trash over here and the soda cans over there and the shorts that I'm wearing, See, I got the tie on. I got shorts on, bro.
I got sweats.
You cannot compare your real life with someone's photoshopped fake life. Don't do it. And you can't even compare your journey, even if to someone else's real journey, because you're on a different road. You're a different person. You can only compare you to you. Are you going better? Are you getting better? Are you getting faster? Are you getting stronger? Or are you atrophying? My dad sits me down one day. He goes, son, puts a cup on the table. Is this glass half full or half empty? I got him. It's half full, Dad. You got to think optimistically, Dad. You got to be positive, Dad. And he said, son, it doesn't matter if the glass is half full or half empty. What matters is where the level of water was yesterday compared to today. Is it getting more full or is it getting more empty? As your life. Sometimes you'll be full, sometimes you'll be empty. But what matters is what direction the water is going. Are you adding or are you subtracting? So the first thing that I would say you should stop immediately is comparison. The second thing we kind of talked about it is just overwhelmment, doing everything at once.
Mhm.
Like no one says, oh, I got rich doing this and then that and then this and then that and then this and then that, right? The average millionaire has 7 income streams, but the average millionaire focused, laser focused on one thing until it was polished to perfection and then added another thing. You can't do everything all at once. You can't spread yourself thin. One of the best things that people can do, and I have a real hard time with this, is saying no. Like my heart says yes, but unfortunately, the reality of my situation, my bandwidth, and my calendar, I have to say no.
Yep.
And that's okay. You're never going to lose no friends by telling someone my heart wants to say yes to this, but unfortunately, the reality of my situation, I have to say no. You got to learn how to say no because you can't do it all at once. What do they say? Master of I don't know what they say.
Jack of all trades, master.
Jack of all trades, master of none. You got to master your trade. And the third thing is isolation. Doing things alone. Not understanding that we're built to be communal. We're humans. The reason why we're able to do the things that we do is because we're a community. Because we have a tribe. Because we have people who care about us and would sacrifice for us. Because we would sacrifice for others. Some of the best feelings you'll ever feel is sacrificing for another. Getting off the game and going sitting with your wife. And a lot of us want to do these things alone. They want to be the lone wolf. And that is not the way to be. Because sooner or later, each and every one of us will wake up and it will feel like there's a legion of negative voices screaming in your head, all giving you their unanimous permission that you suck, that life sucks, that today sucks, and you can't go on. And you are going to need folks like Jacob Anderson's, like these lifters and pushers and thrusters that we talked about last week, to pick you up, to be there for you. So don't do it alone. Don't do it all, and don't compare your journey with another. So that's just a cup that I would want people to put down if they're drinking from that, because stronger people than I have failed drinking from that unholy grail. So put that cup down.
That's powerful. I'll say one thing about I love, the mic drop moment your dad had with you, where it's like,
It's good.
boom. So it's where you're going, right? Where were you yesterday? That is so powerful. And right, if we go to our it brought to mind a parable from the New Testament, and the parable of the laborer in the vineyard. The Lord of the vineyard went out and he hired, the workers and offered them a certain wage. Went out in the morning, got a bunch. A few hours later, hey, we got more work to do. Went and got some more. Paid him the same wage, right? At the end and all the way until the 11th hour, went, found some more to work. And at the end of the day, they all got paid the same, right? It's not about where you are right now. To your point about not comparing ourselves. It's not about where you are now. It's about where you're going. And as long as you reach the destination you're after, that you're trying to get to, you're golden.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And even if you come up a little bit short, right? Stephen Curry doesn't win the MVP every year. He hasn't won a title every year. He's still done really well for himself. And he completely changed the game. And so that journey, the joy is in the journey.
Joy is in the journey.
Wise words, my friend.
Have you ever, so I find myself often, I'll just, snitch on myself and be vulnerable again. I find myself often being very tired at the end of the day, looking forward to my kids going to bed. Because kids are a lot. I got a 1-year-old about to be 2. I got a 4-year-old about to be 22. And they're a lot.
Mhm.
And I love them more than anything. I love spending time with them, but daddy's lumbar spine does not have the structural integrity to be down playing monster trucks for 6 hours, okay? Like, let me just sit here and watch you play monster trucks. And after a while, I just find myself being excited for them to go to bed. But almost 99 times out of 100, I'm sitting there after they're going to bed, and I'm like looking at pictures of them.
Mm-hmm.
Wishing that they were up, wishing I could snuggle them and hang out with them, thinking about what we did today and how I could do better. And if I could go back, I'd do it even better. And it's like you realize that it really isn't the destination. It's not the bed. It's not the, oh, I get to relax and chill. I made it. Got the $1 million. It was the journey. It was the monster trucks. It was the pain that you had to endure to get down there on all fours and actually play with your kids and see them smile and say a joke and take the picture that you're going to one day get to this place that you thought would make you happy and be just going through your pictures, remembering the times that you're living right now and are saying that you wish that you were at that success place. So it really is the journey, man. It really is the journey. And if we could just find some time to realize that our success is now, our happiness is now, the best times of our life are right now, I think that we'll carry that into our journey, and every single day will feel like that. Even when it doesn't, it'll feel like that. Stop and smell the flowers. Get down and play the monster trucks. I know it's going to hurt your back. I know it's going to scrape your knee, and I know that you're going to be looking forward to bed. But be in the moment and enjoy it, because it isn't the destination, it is the journey.
And when you're at the chiropractor getting your back adjusted afterward,
Doctor said I
you're
need to
not
back
going to
out.
regret the monster truck.
Yeah,
Can we just,
exactly.
we'll just stop and appreciate you're just a good dad. So
I appreciate that.
The time with kids is so important. There's one of my favorite books. I didn't even read the whole book because the title and the cover was so good that I just focused on that. And there's a couple stories in there I read, but I never even finished the book. But the title of the book is To a Child, Love is Spelled Time. And so that time on the ground and throwing
That's
your back
awesome.
out, it's what they remember.
Love is spelled Time. I love that. I was watching Chef last night. I started watching a show. I watched John Wick, and I was like, you know what? This isn't filling me with the good stuff. And I remember
That's not
our
going to play with
podcast.
great
Like,
emotions.
it's a fantastic movie, but
We all love Keanu
you
Reeves.
ask yourself, right? Like, what are the things that I'm surrounding myself with? What am I reading? What am I watching? What am I doing? This is the things that you were asking. I was like, damn, you know what? And I was feeling this sense of anxiety. And I was like, probably shooting people in the head and going through this house Call of Duty style isn't helping me out. So I Googled good feeling movies, any good feeling movies? And they talked about this movie called Chef. Did you ever see Chef?
I have not seen Chef. No.
Fantastic movie. So it's a movie about this guy who's a chef who, long story short, things happen. And it's just like a journey to him finding his happiness and realizing it's not about the destination, but it's about the journey. And him going on a journey and really just spending a lot of time with his son on oh man, it was so good. Watch Chef and tell me you don't shed a tear or two and just think about your kids when you're watching it.
We'll all be at the
Put it
end of
on
that.
the list.
The end of that movie, we'll all be listening to that song, like the cat's in the cradle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check it out. But friends, identify those passions. This whole last 10 minutes is we're talking about the journey, right? The journey's about choosing in favor of your passion. So be clear. When you are clear, God and the universe will put into your life what you need and desire, but only to the extent that you're clear, right? Those are your motivational forces. All your goals and everything else flows from that. Just enjoy the process. Don't force it. Enjoy it. And you'll find yourself being way more motivated to do those things, right? You have to take action. There's an element of willpower where you have to take that first step. But the second one gets easier, and the third one, and so on and so forth. And it will continue to just get easier over time, and you'll build those habits. Over time, it just becomes part of who you are. Habits become part of your character. And
the crazy thing is, to your point, Jake, it'll get easier, but it won't. You'll think it's easier, but it's not easier. You're just stronger.
Yeah,
the 45 pounds is always going to weigh 45 pounds. The weight is the weight is the weight. And the first time you pick it up, it's going to feel like a monumental effort to lift it off your chest. But the second time, it'll be easier. And the third, it'll be easier. It's not easier. You're just stronger. So as you enjoy the journey and lift the weight, you'll grow into the type of person that this monumental task, like building a skyscraper or beating anxiety or depression or kicking your comparison to others or building a business or starting a nonprofit or being your best that you can be every day just becomes a must as opposed to a should, because you got that strong. And that's what I hope for all of our audience members. And that's what I hope for me and you. And that's Well, I appreciate you because I got a whole list of stuff to help me get a little bit stronger after this, thanks to you, Mr. Anderson.
Leading by example, Solo. You are leading by example. So, friend, before we adjourn for the day, we're excited because next week we're going to continue this topic of motivation, but it's going to be focused from a leadership perspective. And we're going to be joined by our first guest, Mr. David Gonzalez, who is an awesome, phenomenal spiritual giant and a great leader. And so he'll be sharing his story with us, and then talking about his knowledge and experience of leadership, and how as a leader do you inspire and motivate people. So we are so excited to have him joining us next week. So definitely don't miss that. And until then, have a wonderful week, and God bless you all.
Love you.